The following episode was made possible thanks to the generous donations of Miro S., Sucre Amygdalum, Jonathan Mitchell, Splinkus, Arthur Ramsey, Nico, Skylar Smith, Avery, Brianna Granado, Michael Dzirga, Matias Garay, Charlie, and all my other Patreon supporters. Thanks for listening and supporting the CM Kozemen YouTube channel. Boom! Hello Predators and Predatorinos, and welcome to the CM Kozemen Natural History of Predator Badlands movie review / creature review. As you just heard, we're now doing things a little bit more professionally around this place. So if you'd like to have your name read out like a tutelary god in the beginning of my YouTube episodes, all you have to do is to support me on Patreon on one of the top 2 tiers. If you also donate at least $1 per month, you can access a whole world of incredible artwork, creature designs, commissions, surreal paintings, and some free giveaways, such as the macro plugin on Audacity that makes this smooth voice quality possible. You can access them all for as little as $1 per month, but if you're one of the really generous, real ones, yes, I will thank you personally when starting every episode. Well, with the preamble out of the way, let's go. I think many of the viewers of this channel are already creature fans and fans of the Predator series and probably went and saw and liked this movie. And I am of course recording on the 9th of November 2025. Predator Badlands is a, Predator movie directed by the same guy who did the movie I remember as Indian Predator, which was actually called Prey, and the name of the director is Daniel Trachtenberg. A little preamble, of course, the Predator series originates in 2 OG movies made in 1987 and 1990, and in my headcanon, these are the original and real Predator movies. Now, these movies have a more dark and thrilling tone, and there is no quarter given. There is an alien killer on the loose, and people are desperately trying to stop it. It is scary, it is, at times gory, and it is full of interesting, intriguing concepts. Now, in one scene in the 1990 film Predator 2, the Predator shows off a wall of trophies he has collected, and one of them is an alien skull, the alien being the xenomorph alien from the original Ridley Scott Aliens franchise. Now, this was just a throwaway gag when it was first made, but then it took a life of its own, and then the 2 franchises were smashed together with the Alien vs. Predator series of movies and computer games. The first such movie came out in 2004, and a sequel, Aliens vs. Predator Requiem, came out in 2007. Now, I'm not gonna go over every narrative product in the Aliens vs. Predator universe, but I need to touch upon these films because they represent a transition from the Gen X, let's say, appreciation of Predator to a more millennial one. In Aliens vs. Predator, it's more like a run and gun or a slasher serial killer, or even at times a Transformers type of take on the Predator. The Predators are unstoppable and there's lots of action and, gore and shit. I think these movies are a little forgettable, to be honest. But what I want you to notice is the effect of generational readaptation in these movies. Because, in this new movie, Predator's Badlands, we see the Predator universe recast and reincarnated from a young Gen Z perspective this time. And it is easy to gripe and cry about this movie being a Disneyified or woke-ified or feminized, in fact, as some stupid critics go, ruination of the Predator franchise. When you look at these movies as, well, cultural products, you can see that they are different retellings of the same myth tailored to fit a new generation. And you can bitch, cry, or whine about it, or you can take a more open-minded approach. These are just products of entertainment at the end of the day, and try to analyze, or if you can, enjoy them as their own thing. I think that's a way more healthier and sane method to enjoy movies in general. That doesn't mean you have to take everything Disney does to cultural franchises with hook, line and sinker, but until you can make and direct a Predator movie of your own, at least you can ponder on why creative and narrative decisions were taken. Anyways, let's not beat about the bush too much. Now I'm going to go through the Predator Badlands movie and review almost every creature I can remember. There is no script, there's only my memory of the film, which is fresh. I went to see it with my dad yesterday, and my yapping non-stop mouth. Boy, I can run this thing. And if you enjoy listening to me yap, and if you are maybe playing this in the background as you work or, I don't know, tackle your daily chores, and you are forming these parasocial bonds with me, put your money where your mouth is by liking, subscribing, and, well, pressing every positive button under this video, please. It really makes a difference. In fact, I fucking learned that if one person likes a thing on YouTube, the algorithm recommends it to 10 extra people. That's how these things work. God damn. So make sure at least you like this video, so if you can't support me monetarily, you can at least get this video seen by someone who can. Anyways, the movie opens with a Dune-style bass-boosted alien voice going bum bim bum bim yeah. And we learn that there's a kind of Predator honor code, and it's got individual lows and closes, because we read something like, whoever is weak must be culled from the herd. And it says the Yauta, that's the name of the Predator species, the Yauta Code of Honor, Article 422/5 or something. And, well, that's not an auspicious start, because these are like inscrutable, smart, and very traditional aliens, and I don't think they would be that legalistic. Anyways, there is the code, and that is the law. Take it or leave it. We see two Yauta brothers, Deck and the Big Brother, doing Star Wars-y kind of duels in an alien planet. And just in the beginning, when we're introduced to the alien world, we see what a wild, bug-eat-bug world this is, and this is where the creature design angle comes in. First, we see an alien scarab scuttling along the ground, and then suddenly, snatch! It is eaten by a larger alien creature that looks like a cross between a lizard and a jumping spider, and then snatch! A bigger lizard monster alien thing eats that, but suddenly he is run over by our lead character as he is on his way to the destination. We see that Deck has a family life with his brother, and they've got good memories and love and concern for each other. And actually that's a nice thing, at the cost of maybe anthropomorphizing these creatures a little. But I ultimately appreciated that. I also seriously liked and appreciated the way they did not dub over the creatures. Every line spoken by the Yauta protagonist Deck is in the original Yauta language. You read what he says in the subtitles, and the language is really meticulously constructed, it seems, and it's a great day and a big win for all you Kong Lang enthusiasts out there. I can't stress what a big decision this must be, because usually studios are really timid about these things. They are worried that it would drive away the audiences, and until I think a couple of years ago, this would have been dubbed over in English and he would have spoken like, I don't know, brother, you were good to me, or something like that. But now they've actually made that bold leap, and I think it's a good threshold to be crossed for science fiction narrative enjoyers all over the world. Anyways, we realize that Dec and his brother are pretty close, and soon he has to take some sort of trial of manhood. Also, Dec was the runt of the litter, so to speak, and he's not the best predator out there, but what he lacks in size, he makes up in sheer will and rage. He's like a Yauta afflicted with short person syndrome. Anyways, we learn that these Yautas have a really bad, nasty father figure. And this is just a nuance that American audiences will enjoy or understand, but we get a dramatic shot of the mean dad pulling into the driveway, and they're scared, and he comes in with his like alien motorbike, and he's badass and really ruthless, and turns out he wanted the older brother to kill Dec, but the older brother had like a shred of humanity in him, figuratively speaking, so he spared the little brother. And the father is such a dead-ass, deadbeat, evil bastard that he says, oh well, I'll kill you instead. And Dec watches his older brother die, the only person who cared for him, die as some sort of autopilot like countdown machine whisks him away to an alien world where he will attempt to hunt the biggest, baddest, meanest monster of them all, some hazy and scary creature known as the Kralisk, which looks like a generic lion crossed with a generic Medusa, but more about that later. But at this point, we notice an overarching theme of this movie. This movie is all about this Gen Z ethos of the family you choose versus the family you have. I think it all started with Neon Genesis Evangelion, and bear with me for a second. The idea of science fiction universes having characters with traumatic Freudian backstories. I think you saw some of that in the later Marvel movies too, where I don't even fucking remember. I mean, in these Guardians of the Galaxy series, there's the green hot alien girl, who's the daughter of Thanos, who's the bad deadbeat dad. And there's the purple robot, also hot girl, who is half robot, but she's so traumatized that she actually sticks with her dad or even the bad guys for a while. And yeah, this movie, Predator Badlands, is all about that theme, as we're about to see. Dec is a runaway son who's been wronged by his father, abused by his father, and later on his co-star is going to be rebelling against a domineering and abusive mother. But more about that later. First off, Dec crash lands on this alien world, and this is a kind of Death World kind of place. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, Death World is the name of a trilogy of sci-fi novels written by Harry Harrison. If you like sci-fi or speculative evolution in any capacity, you should get and read these books immediately. They are conveniently titled Death World 1, Death World 2, and Death World 3. And Death World is all about a planet on which every creature has evolved to be as deadly as possible towards humans. And in the series of books, there's a race of colonists native to Death World, and they are so hardcore, from a lifetime spent fighting these animals that they appear as superhuman warriors when traveling elsewhere to the galaxy. And some of the descriptions of the creatures in the movies are suspiciously similar to some of the creatures we will see on this world. In fact, right when Dek lands on this planet, there's a kind of flying dragon type creature, and in the Death World trilogy you do see these like dangerous flying dragon type creatures too. When he lands, at one point he confronts these hordes of venomous spitting lizards, and lo and behold, in the Death World series there's a very similar creature. I'm not saying this is a like direct case of plagiarism, but I'm certain that whoever wrote the script for the movie knows of the Death World series at least. And once again, Harry Harrison's Death World, if you like this film, you'll probably love that book. Go get it and read it. Anyways, Dek crash lands on this book, and conveniently all the deadly animals kind of give him like one night of reprieve, so he can like sluggishly get up and nurse his wounds and apply alien first aid. When he wakes up, Dek is attacked by these dangerous looking man-eating plant vines, which are similar to extensions of the Groot character in the other Disney movie, the Guardians of the Galaxy series. You're gonna see a lot of parallelisms between the Guardians of the Galaxy and this movie as we watch on. In fact, you might call it the Guardians of the Galaxification of the Predators franchise. I'm not saying this in a derogatory way, it's just what they did with the movie, and I'm not gonna complain about it. In fact, I actually really enjoyed this film. It was way better than the latest Jurassic World movie, for example. I mean, look, I'll be honest, you can't deny that sci-fi filmmaking is kind of caught in a recursive loop, and the films are rehashes of the old stuff and kind of predictable to the beat. But while that is happening, you're also getting some really major technical and thematic breakthroughs. For example, we can dunk on the Jurassic World Rebirth movie, but it was one of the first Jurassic movies which featured a more realistic look at dinosaurs, when the T-Rex woke up and chased our heroes down the waterfall and stuff. Similarly, this movie will not please everyone, but I think the sheer fact that this movie has an alien non-human creature and a broken up android as protagonists, and other innovations like having a conlang being out there without dubbing, these are major things, and you're happy to watch them, believe me. When the time comes, these innovations will make it possible for truly original new franchises to emerge. And this is just the chrysalis stage of the entertainment industry, let's just say. Anyways, I got sidetracked, but yeah, if you know, sidetracking is something we do well on this channel. Anyways, Dek is attacked by these Groot snakes, and another minor gripe, all the alien creatures in the movie let us know that they're alien by making their sounds like, so everything has this kind of like reverberating, oscillating tone that makes you understand that they are alien, you know? It doesn't go, no, it goes, see? It's an alien! Anyways, Dek fights against these plants and survives, and then finds himself in a place with these exploding reload spiky gas grenade plants. These resemble the cross between a pineapple and an arum flower. That's A-R-U-M. Go look them up. Now, arum flowers are large and purple and weird, and they're very common in the Mediterranean world. And they got spikes, and if something comes near them, they explode and the spikes knock animals out, apparently. I don't know how the plant benefits from that. Maybe it digests them or like eats their flesh as animals faint around him. Also, these plants have like a computer game type reload timing. I mean, very shortly it blows up and then in a matter of seconds it goes like all the spikes come back out and it's ready to blow up again. Now, Deck is trapped in a field of these bomb plants and one of the flying dragons throws stones at the plants to trigger them and he is caught. I actually found that really innovative, the notion of a flying predator able to pick up and hurl missiles. I don't know why something like that did not evolve already. I mean, we know that eagles sometimes pick up and drop turtles, but it's another thing to pick up and throw stones like ballistic missiles. Maybe in a hypothetical alien scenario, there could be things like palm trees with seeds evolved into spiky, bomb-like aerodynamic weights that are uniform, and the animals can have an easier time picking them up and dropping them on prey to kill them. And of course, when the seed impacts the ground below the animal, it grows into a new tree, and the bird could be a symbiote of this tree actually. There are the missile trees and the missile throwing birds, and I just thought that would be a nice spec evo notion to consider. Anyways, the dragon throws stones at the bomb plants and almost kills Deck, but then a voice says, "Hey Yautja, hey over here." What's over there? Oh my god, it's half a hot girl trapped in a weird plant somewhere. Turns out this is our other protagonist. Her name is Tia, and she's this slightly annoying autistic bug girl coded android who was part of a biological research mission sent there by the Wayland Yutani Corporation. Now, her character could have been far more annoying, but actually this is to the movie's credit. Both Deck and Tia are likable and enjoyable characters. They don't really sting. I mean, at the hands of a more inept director, both of these characters could have been insufferable, but to his credit, Daniel Trachtenberg here does a great job balancing these characters and pitting them in a sort of road movie, unlikely duo, incredible journey type of adventure. Now, because Tia is a bio-research android, she helps Deck navigate the planet. She teaches him all the ways of the creatures. For example, in a certain ravine or a riverbed, there are these eel lizard type things which spit acid, and Tia shows Deck how these animals just want some berries, you know? Just give them some fucking berries and they'll be your friends, you know? Just like pigeons with seeds. Anyways, at this point, Deck is hell-bent on trying to find and kill this Krellis creature so he can impress his abusive father. He's still thinking in terms of getting his father to like him again, and he's not really dealing with his trauma. He's not really processing it. In the meantime, Tia just doesn't shut up about this twin sister android she had, whom she wants to get back to, and she just wants to, you know, be appreciated by her cooler twin sister. So that's a very Gen Z motif. The two misfits trying to help each other out in a careless and cruel world, both with traumatic Freudian backstories of their own. It's something that many young people deal with these days, or even if they don't, sometimes young people, when they have really no problems in their lives, feel the need to make up these stories. And I'm not being critical here, I'm just telling you what I've been seeing, and I think it also filters down to movies like this. But anyways, don't register this as a complaint or a rant. I think the film was a good movie. I think the characters are well written. It's not the Predator you grew up with if you're an aging, boring Gen X or a millennial. But I mean, in all seriousness, fuck off. It's a good movie, and it's got nice creatures, and it's got some pretty innovative plot details, and I think it's a good movie. Anyways, our unlikely partners reach a place where all the grass is like cling, 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 crystally and twinkling, and turns out this is razor grass, which is like really sharp so you can't really get into it. But there are some gigantic armored aliens grazing in it. And as far as creature design goes, I think these are really expertly designed. They have 6 legs and a kind of shovel-shaped head which splits into 2 to reveal some sort of elephantine proboscis. But it's actually a really alien design, and I don't know who designed this creature, but I wouldn't be surprised if the old Grandmaster Wayne Barlow was behind it. I call these creatures elephants or heffalumps when watching the movie. I think the official name might be the Behemoth, but I've literally seen the movie yesterday and I haven't encountered any sources stating the official in-production name of this creature. But it's really well designed, and Tia says, "Oh my god, that's the prey for the Kralisk," which Dek is dying to hunt. So Dek says, "Well, if the Kralisk eats it, then I hunt it too." And there's a really long and protracted action scene in which Dek tries to hunt this creature, but also runs into other animals, including something Tia calls the moon bug, which resembles the Rothar monsters from the Star Wars Force Awakens movie. Fuck, that film was in 2015. It was 10 years ago. God damn, how time flies. But yeah, this moon bug resembles a toothy blob with a long tongue that hangs in trees, and it uses its like boa constrictor or anaconda sized tongue to catch and eat things. And there's a great big action scene, and Dek defeats that too. And he also runs into a little monkey, a kind of Maimoon creature, which is later affectionately named Bud. Now, Bud's design is completely unlike anything else on the planet. It looks like a baby seal crossed with a frog, crossed with a monkey, crossed with 3 or 4 Glupshitto aliens from the extended Star Wars universe, and unlike anything else on the planet, it's actually cute. It's got forward-facing eyes and a big mouth and emotions visible on its face, and you kind of know that there's something special about this Bud shit. And once again, to Daniel Trachtenberg's credit, on any other director's hands, this could have been a disaster. But when watching these wild scenes and seeing these wild creatures, you kind of find yourself suspending your sense of disbelief, and you start living in this movie. And it feels like being in, well, like a comic action book film, and it's really enjoyable, and it doesn't grate against your sensibilities. So our heroes defeat the Heffalump creature together. Bud the Maimoon saves Dek's life, and they all have a moment of reprieve, feasting on their kill. And Tia tells Dek to maybe bring Bud along with them, cause you know he was helpful and everything. But Dek says, "I am the strongest, I don't need any stragglers." But then this is really funny because Tia gives Dek the cold treatment. It's exactly like a girlfriend or a lover giving you the cold treatment as a man after you committed some invisible infraction. But like most things that get women mad, it's actually for a good reason. You see, I'm talking to the guys in the audience. You see, nothing is as disgusting as a man who's not kind, as a man who's an asshole, as a man who's not a gentleman. You know, the word is gentle and man for a reason. And yeah, Dek is an asshole to Bud and leaves him behind, so Tia tries to teach him a lesson, subverting the alpha trope. And I really like this twist in the story. She says that on Earth there's an animal known as the wolf, and the alpha wolf is not the deadliest, but is the one who looks out the most for other wolves. So she tries to teach him the value of caring for others. Now that's slightly out of character for a cold android and a deadly alien who grew up with a honor-based killing culture. But in the movie, you kind of find yourself loving that bit. You almost expect Dek to learn his lesson and go back and get Bud, but he actually says, no, we have to keep pushing forward for, well, plot reason because Bud is more than he seems. Meanwhile, we are introduced to Tia's evil Conti Ethel Kane-coded sister android. Her name is Tessa, and she's evil and cold and driven and uncaring, and she has the ear of Mother, who is the evil AI computer that commands all these androids around. She also has like a squad of deadly flamethrower wielding killer androids that make short work of those earlier snake wine type plants, and they're on the planet too, and they search all around the place once they come across Deck's ship and steal his freeze balls, which are very effective against this Krullisk creature. I don't know why Deck didn't go back and get them, but yeah, I guess you can forgive that little plot hole. The rest of the film goes as you might predict. Now, I'm not gonna go over the whole thing beat by beat. We explained almost every creature except for the Krullisk. Long story short, Tia realizes that Tessa is evil, and Tessa is such an evil bitch that she captures Deck and Tia, but then they escape, and there's a gratuitous violence scene where our heroes battle against all these cheap warrior androids that Tessa has running shotgun with her, and they go through them like a hot knife through butter. And in fact, this scene is like a computer game. All the evil androids have blue lights to show that they're active and conveniently show us where they are. Deck goes and uses his newfound knowledge of wildlife. He turns the exploding plants into grenades and some sort of caterpillar into a fuse, and he tames one of those river lizards, and the lizard sits on his shoulder and becomes his like predator pew 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 spit gun. Meanwhile, Tia teams up with her legs, and there's an incredible scene where in two halves, as legs and the torso, she fights and kills these disposable androids by the dozen. Frankly, I think this scene was too much like a computer game. There could have been more at stake. You know, all these henchmen, they could have had some heavy weapons. I mean, just half an hour ago, we saw them killing everything with these badass blue dubstep flamethrowers. So, you know, where are those weapons? We don't know. They're just there for Deck and Tia to kill. Of course, psychologically, this is the part where you root for the predator. All those deadly action scenes you've seen in the earlier films with the predator as the antagonist, now you watch them with the predator as the protagonist. Meanwhile, the Krullisk is also revealed as this giant T-Rex Thanator from the Avatar universe / lion or manticore like creature with incredible regenerative skills. Like, you cut one part off and it grows back on again, and the animations are very well done. There's a scene where Deck cuts off the head and the head reconnects to the body and like grows back, almost like something from John Carpenter's The Thing. And that was nice. In other scenes, there's like a fast cut of one of the limbs, and it almost grows back at the same speed as an arm moves. I mean, physically it's not very possible, but who knows, maybe Krullisk is a sort of nanotechnological creature. But then we learn that actually Bud, you know, the little frog monkey Maymoon, was actually a baby Krullisk. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. How about that, huh? What a plot twist. The Krullisk which Deck was trying to kill and the evil, nasty Conti Tessa later captured was actually his mom. Oh no, guys. They got his mom. We gotta do something about it. Anyways, they do something about it. And yes, they save the day. Tessa is so evil that she actually kills the mummy Krullisk. But yeah, Bud the Maymoon gets sad for like 1 second, and then he's happy again because now Bud, Tia and Deck are part of a new family, a new clan, Dex clan. It's very similar to a cast of misfits you might see in a Guardians of Galaxy movie or another interchangeable Marvel movie. You think it's a happy ending, but no, there's one more challenge. Remember Dex's dad, Dex's evil, abusive dad? Well, he's gotta take care of his daddy issues now, cause Tia already dealt with the evil Tessa. So now it's Dex's turn to run through Freud's gauntlet. Now this last bit was the only part of the movie which I really didn't like. It was too rushed and too quickly over with. Dex faces his dad and, as one might predict, kills him. But actually the death blow is delivered by Bud, who's now like a teenage adolescent bear-sized frog-like thing. And it was really ridiculous to see this like very dark and very evil character. Suddenly, this little dog comes and bites his head off. I mean, yeah, I think that scene could have had more weight to it. Even with the rest of the movie's idiosyncrasies notwithstanding, yeah, I didn't like that last bit. It could have been more impactful. And then, to complete the Freudian twist, the movie ends with a pun, because we see a huge spaceship approaching, and now all our heroes, Tia, the Maimoon, Bud, and Dek, they band together like they activate their weapons, and Tia asks him, "Oh my god, who is this?" And then Dek says, "Oh, you haven't met my mother yet." And the movie ends. So there, I mean, that was that for Predator Badlands. Once again, I tried to retell the story in a humorous way, but I think it was a really nice and enjoyable movie. I feel like my money was well spent attending this film. It was certainly nice. Look, if you're interested in creature art, creature design, speculative evolution, movies like this are ultimately a good thing. It's very difficult in Hollywood for any director to get a movie greenlit, a movie that has a non-human protagonist. Half of the dialogue is in a made-up language, and there are lots of creatures and monsters. It's a proper creature feature, and the characters are likable or at least not annoying. Now, you might ask, maybe this movie could have been done better without everybody having a Freudian backstory. It could have been a more of a what you see is what you get kind of movie. The characters could still have shown development and interesting ways of interaction. The Gen Z coding would not need to be as strong. But then again, the message is a positive one. You are an outcast, you are already weird to begin with, and there is a place in the universe for you. And plus there's a lot of creatures and like some nice action bits, so I like this film. I don't think you can ever redo the original Predator films again. And there are some people out there who have like a cottage industry based on complaining about films. And look, I get it, like this multi-billion-dollar companies' encroachment on independent intellectual properties. It's not great. But at the same time, you cannot film in the 2020s, you cannot film a 1980s or 1990s style movie again. All the people have been replaced, the skill sets are different, the audiences are different, the production pipelines are different. I mean, a movie like Predator was a far more low budget movie compared to this Predator movie, where technical effects, computer effects, they need really expensive production pipelines, and those need a lot of signing off from like corporate levels of filmmakers and yada yada yada. It's far harder to be an eccentric auteur in the present day. And under these circumstances, I think Predator Badlands was a really good film, maybe even a great film. It certainly took the franchise to an unexpected direction, I can tell you that much. But yeah, and the creature design is great. Maybe some more thought could have gone into the evolutionary relationships of the creatures. Now on this planet, everything is an individual standalone monster. But if you look at a movie like James Cameron's Avatar series, you see that they tried to make every creature kind of look related. You know, they got similar limb configurations, similar body plans. Like you can tell that on James Cameron's Pandora, the creatures are related. They got the kind of Pandora-ness to themselves. On this movie, on this world, whatever it's called, all the creatures are standalone monsters. It's like an SCP kind of world. In fact, I also felt this SCP vibe at that other Alien franchise thing that's out there, Alien Earth, the TV series. I wasn't a huge fan of that. I like that less than I like Predator Badlands. But yeah, that had an SCP-like Monster House approach too. Oh, there's this alien, there's that alien, and there's our alien. Well, on this world, there's the snake plants, there's the bomb plants, there's the spitting newts, there's the flying dragon, there's the Kralisk, but the creatures don't seem or feel related, and that could have been better. But then again, who am I? I'm just an eccentric YouTube/sci-fi author. Anyways, everybody, I hope you enjoyed my take and my perspectives on this movie. What did you think about it? Let me know in the comments, and we can at least get some conversation going against the algorithm. And if you listen this far, please comment in the comment section. Say, I am an alpha wolf. Say, I am an alpha wolf. Say, I am an alpha wolf. So I can tell who watched all the way and who's not a quitter. That's that, everybody. That was my take on Predator Badlands. As always, I love you all and have a nice, wonderful day wherever you are. Goodbye for now.